From the window of her 33rd floor office, Martha Johnson could see Chicago's skyscrapers as she finished her call with her last client. The clock showed 6 p.m., but the lights in the financial district showed no signs of dimming. Martha sighed with satisfaction and glanced at the family photo on her desk. "Ms. Johnson, good work staying late again today. I hear you landed another new client," her colleague Jane said with a smile. Martha turned in her chair and smiled back. "Thank you. But I'm heading home now. I need to prepare for my parents' anniversary party." "Oh, that's right. Is it their 30th? Martha nodded and began packing documents into her bag. "I'm so proud of my parents. The way they look at each other hasn't changed since they were young." Jane's expression turned wistful. "What a wonderful family. Will your brother and sister be there too?" "Yes. Kelly will bring her husband and children. Greg should be coming too. It's been a while since the whole family has been together." As she spoke, Martha pulled a small envelope from her desk drawer. Inside were tickets for a Caribbean cruise. They cost the equivalent of 3 months' salary, but when she imagined her parents' happy faces, she hadn't hesitated to make the payment. After leaving the office, Martha returned to her luxury apartment, quickly showered, and changed into the navy dress she'd selected for this special occasion. Looking at herself in the mirror, she felt a touch of loneliness. The price of dedicating herself to her career was that she'd had no time for romance. "But I'm not lonely because I have my family," Martha whispered to herself. Since majoring in finance in college, she had been the only money expert that her family relied on. Her sister Kelly had become a mother of 2 children. Her husband Tom was a good man, but didn't have a stable income, and Martha had covered their mortgage payments several times. Her brother Greg had dropped out of college and had repeatedly failed at various startups in pursuit of the next big idea. Each time, Martha had cleaned up after him. Recently, he had borrowed $50,000 from her for developing a new app. Her parents, Robert and Harriet, had also gone through a period when they accumulated debt after their post-retirement restaurant business failed. Martha had paid off the entire amount and created a stable retirement plan for them, allowing them to now live peacefully. Martha grabbed her car keys and glanced at the family photo frame. Her always smiling parents, cheerful Kelly, and her family, ambitious Greg. She was proud that she could support them financially. It's worth doing anything for family. However, in recent months, she had felt something changing. Phone calls from her parents contained fewer updates about their lives and more investment advice or requests for small loans. Kelly had started talking about education funds for her children, and Greg was bringing up additional startup funding. Words of gratitude had become fewer, replaced with, "You can do it, can't you?" As she drove, Martha remembered that she had recently been offered a significant promotion and raise as the head of the Chicago branch. At the same time, there was a suggestion of a potential transfer to the London office. When she told her parents about it yesterday, their reaction was unexpected. "London? You're joking, right? What's the point of being so far away from us?" Her mother's voice was filled with confusion. "That's right, Martha. Your family is here. Especially now that Greg's new business is starting to take off, he needs your support," her father added. Martha bit her lip. What they said made sense. But something bothered her. The phrase, "for the family," had a different ring to it than before. In the car heading to her parents' home, Martha was torn between her excitement for the anniversary party and the discomfort growing inside her. It had been a while since the whole family was together. She wanted to believe it would be a warm gathering filled with laughter as always. Parking in front of her parents' house, Martha took a deep breath. Holding the gift package and cake box in both hands, she walked toward the entrance. Before the door opened, she could already hear lively conversation from inside. "Martha. You're finally here." Her mother Harriet greeted her with a smile. Her hair had recently turned white, but the sparkle in her eyes remained unchanged. "Sorry I'm late, Mom. Work ran long." Martha kissed her mother and placed the gift on the table. In the living room, her father Robert was playing with his grandchildren. Kelly and her husband Tom were sitting on the sofa, while Greg was standing, looking at his smartphone. Finally here, Greg looked up. "Hey, I've got a prototype for my new app. I want to show you something later." Martha forced a smile. "Of course. But today is about Mom and Dad." Martha. Her sister Kelly hugged her. "I submitted applications for the children's private school. We need to seriously consider that education fund you mentioned." "Yes." Martha hesitated. "Let's enjoy the party first today." While preparing dinner, Martha spoke with her mother. "Did you get the cruise tickets?" Harriet asked in a low voice. "Yes, of course. It's the Caribbean tour, right? You got the 2-week one I asked for, didn't you?" Martha froze for a moment. "Mom, we discussed this. The 10-day tour." Harriet looked displeased. "But Robert and I were looking forward to 2 weeks. Since you're the only one with a good salary, you could splurge a little." The words were cut off, but their meaning was clear. Martha felt something cold in her chest. At the dinner table, her father Robert was reminiscing. "Sending Martha to college was the best decision we ever made as a couple. It was right to steer her into finance." "Yes," Harriet agreed. "Especially since she now takes care of us in our old age." Everyone laughed. It was said in a joking manner, but Martha felt the weight of it. "Hey, Martha," Tom addressed her. "Kelly told me there's talk of a transfer to London?" The table fell silent for a moment. "Yes, though nothing's decided yet," Martha chose her words carefully. "I think it's a great opportunity." "You're joking, right?" Kelly raised her voice. "I can't imagine you not being here as the children's aunt." "And what about their education fund?" Martha, her father interjected with a serious expression. "You should reconsider leaving your family behind to go overseas. Especially now that Greg's new business is just starting to take off." Greg looked up. "Speaking of which, sis, I need an additional $30,000. I have to hire another programmer." Martha put down her fork. "Greg, what happened to the recent $50,000? "Well, that was just the initial investment. We need additional funds to succeed. You can afford it, right?" Martha took a deep breath. All eyes in the family were on her. Expectant looks, as if it were their rightful due. "I'll think about it," she answered briefly. During dessert time, while cutting the cake, Martha was calculating in her mind. The amount she had provided to her family over the past 5 years equaled most of her savings. Greg's investments had never been repaid, and the mortgage payments for Kelly and Tom, which were supposed to be temporary assistance, had become almost a monthly ritual. "Martha, when are you going to give us the cruise present?" her mother pressed. After dessert, perhaps, Martha smiled, but her heart was conflicted. After the meal, when the family gathered in the living room, Martha handed the gift envelope to her parents. "Congratulations on your 30th anniversary." Harriet opened the envelope and exclaimed when she saw the contents. "A Caribbean cruise." "Robert, look." Robert pretended to be surprised, but Martha knew it was an act. They already knew. "A wonderful gift, Martha," her father said. "This is exactly what we expected from our family." Something about those words bothered Martha. The expression, "what we expected." As if her expensive gift was a matter of course. Greg approached with his smartphone. "Look, sis. This is the design for the new app. Worth investing in, right?" Martha looked at the screen, but it didn't seem much different from his previously failed projects. "Greg, to be honest." "Martha," her mother interrupted. "Support your brother. We're family." "That's right," Kelly chimed in. "Since you're the only successful one, it's only natural to share." Martha nodded silently. But in her heart, she was clearly articulating her discomfort for the first time. Is this love, or is it a transaction? Toward the end of the party, Martha was alone in the kitchen, clearing the dishes. She received a call from work. Ms. Johnson, we need an answer from the London office. A decision by next week. Martha stared out the window. The lights of distant skyscrapers shone like new possibilities. From the kitchen, she could hear her family's laughter. Among those voices, she heard her name and the word money mixed in. I'll think about it, Martha answered the phone. That night, as she was leaving, her father stopped her. Martha, please seriously consider Greg's case. He's the only male in the family to carry on the Johnson name. His success will be our pride. Martha nodded silently, but questions grew in her mind. Isn't my success a source of pride? That night, back in her apartment, Martha stood by the living room window, gazing at Chicago's night view. In her hands was the family photo frame. The smiling faces of her beloved family. But tonight, she sensed something behind those smiles. She picked up her phone and opened the calculator app. Quietly, she began calculating the total amount of financial support she had provided to her family over the years. As the numbers grew, so did Martha's sense of unease. The following weekend, Martha was invited to another family lunch gathering. Martha stared at the special cake box on the passenger seat. Last night until late, she had been creating a detailed record of her financial support to her family. The Excel sheet listed all the loans from the past 5 years. Startup funds for her brother Greg, mortgage payments for her sister Kelly and her husband Tom, debt repayment and retirement funds for her parents. The total was close to 5 years of her salary. Is this love? Or exploitation? Martha had asked herself repeatedly. The deadline for responding to the London office transfer offer was tomorrow. Yesterday, her boss had told her, your talent is needed in London. Parking in front of her parents' house, Martha picked up the cake. The spring sunshine felt warm. Birds were singing. Normally, this would be a calming moment, but today was different. Walking toward the entrance, Martha was thinking about her life. Successful career, financial stability. But personal happiness? She had few friends, and her romantic relationships never lasted. She had sacrificed most of her time and money for the family. How did that family view her? As she put her hand on the doorknob, she stopped at the voices coming from inside. Without additional funds from Martha, my app development is finished, Greg's voice. Somehow persuade her. She'll listen to you, won't she? Kelly's voice followed. Martha held her breath. The door wasn't locked, but she didn't open it. Martha is really a walking wallet, isn't she? Kelly said, laughing. It's convenient that she doesn't realize she's an ATM. Laughter. Martha's chest tightened. Someone was responding to Greg's joke. Then she heard her father's voice. Single women just need to provide money. That's the only reason we sent her to college. A heavy silence enveloped Martha. Her hand fell from the doorknob. She felt her world crumbling. The words, the only reason we sent her to college, echoed in her head. Was her education an investment? An investment with expected returns. Her mother's voice came through. Oh, Robert. You shouldn't say things like that. However, there was no real rebuke in that voice. Rather, it seemed like a mild reprimand hiding agreement. But look, Martha's talking about going to London, Kelly continued. What are we supposed to do? What about the children's education fund? Don't worry, her father's voice was confident. I'll talk to her today. I'll remind her of her responsibilities. Her duty to the family. Martha quietly backed away. Still holding the cake box, she returned to her car. She sat without starting the engine. Tears rolled down her cheeks. Her phone rang. It was from her mother. Martha didn't answer but sent a message. Something urgent came up. I can't come today. I'll be in touch. Starting the car, Martha began driving aimlessly through the city streets, eventually reaching the shores of Lake Michigan. She sat on a bench, gazing at the lake. Was I really that foolish? The wind ruffled her hair. Martha took out her phone and opened the recording app. She didn't want to remember, but she needed to accurately record what she had heard at the entrance. She quietly began to narrate the key points of today's conversation in her own voice. April 7th, conversation overheard at the entrance to my parents' house. My sister Kelly called me a walking wallet and laughed that I don't realize I'm an ATM. Dad said if single women just need to provide money, that's why we sent her to college. They're afraid of me going to London because they'll lose my financial support. After finishing the recording, Martha took a deep breath and made a decision. She stood up and returned to her car. Back at her apartment, Martha immediately took action. First, she called her boss. I'll take the London office position. Next, she contacted a lawyer. She requested the preparation of a debt repayment plan. Then, she opened her laptop and completed the Excel sheet. All the loans with dates, amounts, purposes, and the fact that none had ever been repaid. Finally, she attached a link to the audio file she had recorded at the entrance. By evening, Martha sat on the living room sofa and opened the family group chat. She stared at the screen for a long time. Her fingers trembled. Is this really okay? But those words came back to her ears. Walking wallet. ATM. Single women just need to provide money. Martha strengthened her resolve. She began typing a message to everyone, along with records of all our transactions. I am no longer your ATM. Please check the attached file. My love for you, my family, was real, but today I learned it was one-sided. The debt repayment plan will be sent by my lawyer. I've canceled the Caribbean cruise. My contact information will change. I'm starting a new life in London. Martha. The moment she pressed send, the phone started ringing. First from her mother, then her father, followed by Kelly and Greg. Martha didn't answer. She put her mobile phone on silent mode and stared out the window. The Chicago twilight was beautiful. The lights in the skyscrapers were beginning to turn on one by one. The doorbell rang. Looking through the peephole, Martha saw her parents, Kelly, and Greg standing there. She didn't move. Martha, open up. Let's talk, her father's voice echoed in the hallway. Martha quietly returned to the living room, picked up her pre-packed bag, and left through the back door of the apartment. She got into the taxi she had reserved. Hilton Hotel, please. Upon reaching her hotel room, Martha sank heavily onto the bed. The incoming calls on her mobile phone exceeded 30. She finally opened one message. It was from her mother. Martha, please let us talk. We love you. It's not about the money. Martha smiled bitterly. The word love. What did it mean? She replied. Let's meet at the lawyer's office tomorrow. 2 p.m. Looking at the night view from the window, Martha said quietly. This is my new beginning. That night, Martha couldn't sleep for a long time. The faces of her family flashed in her mind. Happy memories. But at the same time, the words, walking wallet, too. She didn't regret her decision. She just felt sad that the concept of family she had believed in for decades had crumbled in a single day. The meeting room at the law office was filled with tension. On one side of the table sat Martha and her lawyer, and on the opposite side were her parents, Greg, and Kelly with her husband Tom. Outside the window, Chicago's April rain was falling quietly. Ms. Johnson, please explain, Martha's lawyer, Mr. Davis, began. Martha took a deep breath and looked at each family member's face. Their expressions showed confusion, anger, and above all, fear. My financial support ends here. Martha's voice was calm. All previous loans should be repaid according to the repayment plan. This is absurd. Robert raised his voice. It was family helping each other, not loans. Robert, calm down. Harriet placed her hand on her husband's arm. Martha, why this suddenly? Did we say something wrong? Martha took out her smartphone and played the recording. The conversation she had heard at the entrance. The words, walking wallet, ATM, single women just need to provide money, echoed through the quiet meeting room. When the recording ended, a heavy silence fell. Kelly covered her face with both hands, and Greg looked down. Robert's face had turned pale. It was a joke, Kelly said in a small voice. I didn't mean. People often say their true feelings in jokes, Martha responded flatly. This makes everything clear. I am not an ATM, love shouldn't be one-sided financial support. Harriet began to cry. Martha, you're our daughter. We love you. Not because of money. Is that really true? Martha looked into her mother's eyes. Then why were you so opposed to me going to London? Because my financial support was more important than my career. No. Robert shouted, but there was no conviction in his voice. Lawyer Davis placed documents on the table. This is the repayment plan. Greg's startup funds of $80,000, Kelly and Tom's mortgage payments of $120,000, and assistance to Robert and Harriet of $150,000. A total of $350,000 to be repaid in monthly installments over 5 years. Tom cleared his throat. We can't possibly pay such an amount. Then how do you think I've been paying all this time? Martha's words were sharp. Everyone needs to reconsider their standard of living. Kelly began to cry. The children's private school. Public school is fine, Martha stated firmly. I went to public school. From there I went to college and built my current position. Martha, please reconsider, her father pleaded. We're family. Martha slowly stood up. We need time to think about what family really means. Tomorrow, I leave for London. It's a 1-year contract. A year? Harriet exclaimed in surprise. So long. It's the time I need for a new beginning, Martha said. I want all of you to think about the true meaning of family too. Greg spoke for the first time. Sis, I'm sorry. Really sorry. There was genuine regret in his voice. Martha looked at her brother. Her expression softened slightly. Greg, you have talent. But you've always chosen the easy way. Learn to take responsibility for yourself. As the meeting ended and Martha was about to leave the room, her mother stopped her. Martha, could we talk for a moment? Just the two of us. After signaling with her eyes to Mr. Davis, Martha nodded. The two moved to a small lounge in the law office. Martha, Harriet tried to take her daughter's hand. Martha pulled back slightly. Please, listen. Those words were terrible. I won't deny it. But it's true that I love you. What is love? Martha quietly asked. If you saw me as a tool for support, that's not love. I was wrong, there was genuine sadness on Harriet's face. I took your success for granted and used you. I didn't realize. I ignored your feelings. Martha silently stared at her mother. I want you to be happy in London, Harriet continued. And I hope someday you can forgive us. So we can become a real family. I need time, Martha said. To rebuild trust. Before parting with her mother, Martha made just one promise. Let's video call once a month. Maybe we can repair our relationship little by little. The next day, Martha was waiting at the airport gate for boarding. Her mobile phone rang. It was from Greg. After hesitating a little, she answered. Martha, I wanted to tell you before you get on the plane. Greg's voice was serious. I've decided. I'm going back to college. I'll study economics and get a proper job. And I'll repay the debt. I promise. Martha smiled. I'm glad to hear that, Greg. Seeing your strength made me think. Someday, I hope we can be real siblings. After hanging up, Martha stared out the window. The rain had stopped, and the sky was getting a bit brighter. Now boarding. British Airways Flight 295 to London. Martha stood up and picked up her passport. At that moment, another phone call came in. It was from Kelly. Martha, I'm sorry. Really sorry. I told the children about you. That their aunt is a wonderful finance professional who carved her own path as a strong woman. They're very proud of you. I am proud of you too. Tears welled up in Martha's eyes. Thank you, Kelly. We're looking forward to the postcards you'll send from London. The children are excited too. On the plane, Martha was looking at Chicago's cityscape visible from the window. Her heart was complex. Sadness and a sense of liberation were mixed together. An expectation for the future. What would you like to drink? The flight attendant asked. Champagne, please, Martha smiled. To celebrate a new beginning. As dawn approached in London, Martha began writing in her notebook in the darkness of the cabin. Dear family. This is not my last letter to you. It's the beginning of a new relationship. We made mistakes. Both me and you. I placed my values solely on financial support, and you took it for granted. A real family is not about money transactions, but about respecting each other and recognizing each other as individuals. Supporting each other is important, but it should be reciprocal. During my year in London, I will reflect on myself. And I hope you will do the same. With love. Martha. As the plane landed at London Heathrow Airport, Martha took a deep breath. Her new life was beginning in this city. And far away, her family was beginning to change too. It was the first step in a long journey to becoming a family in the true sense. London's winter was harsh. Snow had accumulated on the roofs of old buildings visible from Martha's apartment window, and the Thames River reflected the grey sky. 1 week until Christmas. Martha was staring at her computer screen while drinking warm coffee. Martha, your performance this quarter is outstanding, her boss Elizabeth said in an online meeting. I'm really glad you became the face of the London office. Thank you, Martha smiled. I'm happy to be working with this team. After the meeting, Martha stood by the window. Almost a year had passed. Since leaving Chicago, her life had changed dramatically. New friends, new hobbies, and occasionally there was a nice man she dated. Her mobile phone rang. It was from Greg. Sis, I passed my final exams. My GPA this semester is 3.8. Congratulations, Greg. I'm proud of you. I'm steadily repaying the debt too. I work as a waiter between classes. It's tough, but there's satisfaction in earning for myself. After hanging up, Martha looked at the new family photo displayed on the shelf in the living room. It had been sent last month. Her parents looked older. But there was a humility in their faces that she had never seen before. An envelope was placed on the table. A Christmas card that had arrived this morning. Martha opened the seal and took out the card. A handwritten message from her mother was written on it. Dear Martha. A year has passed, and we have learned a lot. Your courage changed us. Thank you for teaching us the true meaning of family. Will you come back for Christmas? With love, Mom. Below that, a short sentence in her father's severe handwriting. I'm proud of you. Really sorry. Dad. Tears welled up in Martha's eyes. She looked at the calendar. A ticket she had already booked. Chicago bound, departing December 23rd. She opened her laptop and began preparing for the monthly video call. The faces of her family appeared on the screen. Her parents, Kelly, and her children, and Greg. They smiled and waved at Martha. "I have important news," Martha said. "I will be home for Christmas. But it's a temporary return. I've renewed my contract in London." After a moment of silence, her father said, "Congratulations, Martha. We respect your decision. But we'd be happy if you could come back to Chicago more often," her mother added. "Not forcing you. Just a wish." Martha smiled. "I promise. And next time, I'd like to invite everyone to London." After the call ended, Martha gazed at the twilight view of London visible from her apartment window. Far away, she had found her true self. And she was beginning to build a new bond with her distant family. "A real family supports each other," Martha said quietly. "But support should be reciprocal." Snow began to fall quietly. The sense of a new year, a new beginning. Martha smiled. It had been a long journey, but she had finally started walking the right path.